Hi, everybody. This is a wee bit of alchemy. I'm Rick Barrett. Welcome. So we're going to do some more work with our center line. Can it continue the thread we're on last week? And first thing, Scott had a report that he wanted to share about his experience after the last class.
So, as most people following along know, I had total knee replacement. Yeah, 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago now, and it's been getting better. But it would give out when I walked. It would just kind of give. And after last Tuesday's class, the next Wednesday I went for a walk, and I noticed it gave out quite a bit less than it has been. And then Thursday I went for a walk, and I'm walking about a mile. And Thursday I went for a walk and it didn't really give out at all. So I've noticed a big improvement in my walking and my knee since last Tuesday's class. So and it happened right after. So I can't there's nothing else I can accredit it to but the class.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you. Back to me. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So just to catch you up, last week we were working with the idea the idea of finding your center line, your by adjusting to your medial line, that is the center of your body. So it's basically kind of redundant there, but we're looking for the center of your body and getting a felt sense of that. Because in my experience as a teacher over several decades now, I find that most people are unaware of their actual center of gravity. Yeah, and there are some people who have had some training in this do actually make the jump, but for most people, they are working mechanically, like with using um, pressures and adjustments to work with forces and counter forces to stay upright, and um, and getting that exact center is uh, is a worthwhile thing for those of us who are in the internal arts, and as well as anybody who's happens to be walking around and wants to remain upright. Taijiquan has a reputation for preventing falls in seniors, and that's because you're working at creating this more of an internal sense of your center. And it may not be addressed directly, but that's what is happening just by virtue of doing the movements. We're taking it a step further and really tuning into this because this is where you access the big chi. That is, when you start to align your body to that center point there, that center line, then you create more access to the earth chi that creates your root. So you have more of this insubstantial energetic connection with the earth whenever you do that. And um, and so there's a way of visualizing this, and and carpenters use a tool called a plumb bob. I don't have one handy, but I have something that'll work just as well, and just give you the idea what that is. And that is, it's a device where you get a weight hanging from a string that you it dangles, and whenever it stops moving around, that's that tells you that that line is perpendicular to the pull of gravity. So there's a it's a as close as we can get to a perfect center line, and so carpenters use it to hang doors and things like that. They want to have their reference line to be plumb, so that anything they build off of that is going to be they're going to be able to use that as a reference point and establish a uh, walls which are straight up and down, doors that hang correctly. If the door is the way most people use to center themselves, if you're just leaning against something that doesn't happen to be plumb, then you're having to use a whole lot of energy and muscular contraction in order to keep your body moving correctly. So if you're lined up out of plumb, then you're having to kind of twist and turn and create muscular tension in order to just keep your body going. So what we're doing is we're creating an insubstantial reference point by first working with substantial things, and then we gradually fine tune that internal sense of what that means to be efficiently erect and plumb. And so last week we're doing it with moving side to side. So we're, left and right. So that is, you can imagine an axis going across the body. We call that the x-axis, right? And it's just the going side to side, left to right. And so you're lining up, this is obviously off, this is off, and then you slowly adjust till you find that point where you're have a sense of using the least amount of effort in order to maintain your center. And then the other way of moving of centering is front to back. We'll call it the y-axis, and that's back like this or forward. So it's front to back. So we looking for that point, that way of holding ourselves so that there is a sweet spot where the two meet, where the x and y axis meet there, and it's 0 point where you have you're locating from that. And we've been doing this for a long time with our three pillars. We start off in a static position and line up. We get our central equilibrium, we get our energetic coherence, we unkink the hose, and so our three pillars are established. But the minute we move, you have to reset. That is, you have to have an internal sense that allows you to, whenever you move into your body into a different shape, you have to find your central equilibrium in that shape as well, along the x and the y axis, and with reference to all other points as well. The more you can fine tune that sense, so that you don't have to think about it, you just feel it. Then the more you can do that, the more power you're going to be able to generate with your body. Also, the more coherent the energy flow is going to be through your body. So it's all moving in that direction of creating, a safe, stable, powerful structure that allows the chi to flow freely throughout the whole system, which then allows for better health and longevity and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So let's start with just by kind of covering some of the ground we used last week, and then we will then we'll move on to the we'll cover the x-axis that we started with last week, and then then we'll introduce the y-axis. And just as last week, I recommend highly that you hang on to something while you're doing this. This is not to say that you can't do these things without that, and you probably can very well. But hanging on to something allows you to let go of some of the compensations, some of the pre-conscious compensations that your body has picked up over its many decades of trying to adjust to not being on center. And it will, you'll find that muscular tensions that are locking you into disadvantageous positions you'll have an opportunity to let go of some of those. And just we were talking about last week, our goal here is to be able to create such a stable structure, a stable foundation, that we can then let go of muscular tension, and particularly in the hip area, because the hips tend to lock up and go into all kinds of weird configurations in order to adjust to the fact that you are not really feeling rooted and centered in your feet. So by starting from building from the ground up, then it permits you to relax muscular tension, allow your hips to free up, allow you to become more sung qua. So let's stand up, please. Grab a table chair. I'm going to use a big stick, and if you have one, if not, just be mindful that this is a good way to practice it. Is to have a guide there, a training, some training wheels on your bike. Okay, so we're going to start feet a nice hip width apart, and we're going to go into our three pillars. And this time I'm using Mr. Stick here to assist me in the process. And I'm going to start building up from my feet and unlock my knees and feel the contact through the floor, through the whole foot, but primarily through the ball of the foot. So, and in the ball of the foot, we're talking about the medial line, that is along the big toe line, along the arch of the foot. So we feel that, and that's our primary contact point. We talked last week about the three nails, one in the heel, one in the ball of the foot, and one in the big toe. And so we want to use that as an image that helps us to connect. So the nails, you can imagine as energetic, points that fasten, root you to the ground. They're reaching down through your floor and into the earth, extending energetically down from those points. So let's start with the feeling those three nails and feeling particularly the second nail, the one in the ball of the foot, and reach up with the crown of the head, tuck in your chin. Open your jade pillow gate by gently reaching upward with the crown. No force, just lightly extending upward, as if you're a vine reaching up toward the sun. A big sunflower extending upward. Relax your lower back and level out your pelvic bowl. You do that by dropping your sacrum, and as if you're kind of sitting down there while you're standing up, and you're allowing your lumbar curve to flatten out, and feel yourself sinking down into your feet even a little more. Feel the contact with those three nails. And point and reach with your index finger, and feel the energetic coherence, connecting up your whole body with one chi, one body, one chi. And feeling very sung, feeling very supported. And gently spiral down to the left, relaxing your hip joint as you do that. Spiral down to the right. And you want to keep mindful of that center as you do that. So as I said before, we're establishing our center in a static position. That is, we want to create this thing where things are nice and balanced between the two sides of your body. And just to get a sense of that. And now go into the first nail, the heel, and feel that as your primary connection point. You're still feeling the others, the ball of the foot and the big toe, but you're primarily in the heel. Still reaching up at the crown, and you're finding your center there. And we're just going to stay here for several breaths and just relax and feel the insubstantial quality there of this position. And by that I mean you're not primarily focused on the weight of your body and your feet and how your structure feels. You're feeling more that like that plumb bob. You're just hanging and feeling that center going, perpendicular to the lines of force from gravity. So even if the floor is not level, you're still lining up to gravity. Once we move outside of our living spaces, things aren't always perfectly level. In fact, I did a lot of work, a lot of contracting in New York, and the floors here and particularly in Manhattan, a lot of floors that are way off level. So you have to, compensate for that. So, so we've got our 3 pillars established now, and let's feel into the ball of the right foot. And without shifting any weight, just establishing awareness of that creates substantiality in the right foot. The substantiality is a product of your awareness, your intention, your attention, and it becomes more substantial than the one you're not attending to. Now, feel that, and then as you sink into the right foot, feeling the ball of the right foot, you're letting go of the pressure in your left foot. So you're gone from 50-50 now to 60-40, 60-40 in your right, 60 in your right, 40 in your left. And just feel that and just find your center line there. So you can see it in me, it's like, I'm going to line up here with the medial line, and I'm going to have my, start to move my body more in alignment with that, with that. And I'm going to go to 70% in my right leg and loading up more into the right leg. Notice how my knee lines up with the medial line of my foot, with my big toe line there. You're feeling your center line because your body still has the same amount of mass as it did a minute ago, but now the mass is centered over your right foot more. Now go to 90% into the right foot, and you're using something you're holding on to, something to allow you to really feel stable there, and just allow yourself to sink into that, get very sung into that position. And notice what I'm not doing is this. I'm not pushing my butt out to the side. What I'm doing is sitting down and releasing down into my quad and keeping my center over the medial line of my foot. And pick up my heel, feel even more centered, more established in that right foot, feeling feeling my center line. Okay, so I've moved off of the medial line of between my feet, and I'm now lining up with the medial line of my right foot. That's my reference point. So now I'm going to put my heel down and slowly move back and sort of let go of the, actually, no, I'm going to feel the ball of my left foot and feel that now just by doing that, I've started to make my left foot more substantial. And then I take 60% of that left foot and then 70 or I lost my mouth. I got so we're going from 90 to 80 to 70. Now we're down to 60 on the right foot, 40 on the left, and now back to 50-50 in between the feet. So now just feel what that feels like to have your center line. It's along your medial line, your between your nose and your navel. It's kind of centered between your feet. And so we're using these structural points of reference in order to create a reference point. So then we can discard those and then use more the insubstantial feeling of centeredness becomes our reference point. We're shifting from the substantial to the insubstantial as our reference point. So now we're going to go this time we're going to go in the heel of the left foot and feel yourself sinking into there and gradually moving, filling up, 60, 70% in your left foot, 80%, 90%. Just feel yourself sinking. So you're a little more to this side now, more to the left side. You're lining up over the three nails on your left foot, particularly emphasizing the heel this time. Pick up your right heel and feel yourself really getting comfortably centered in your left leg. When you're first playing around with these things, it's really ideal to not bend your knee very much. Just unlock it. You'll find it much easier to do the exercise if the leg is not totally straight, but 90% straight. And bring up your left arm and reach out and just point and reach out and just feel the energetic connection from your finger down through your left heel. And just feel that power line that you've established there by having your weight, almost all your weight in your left leg, and feel that energetic connection as you reach with your left hand, point with your left index finger, and feel that connection there. We're establishing an insubstantial center line, which connects up to the insubstantiality of energetic coherence. And so that with that comes the power of that insubstantial energy, the chi, is being manifested through that. And put your right heel down. And we're going to slowly, drop the left hand, bring that down, and slowly move back towards center and feel that. Feel, just for a reference point now, we're saying, okay, what does that feel like to be in that center place? Breathe deeply. Feel your connection to the earth. Feel yourself just kind of sinking deeper into the earth as you do that. You're extending your energy down as well as allowing the energy of the earth to come up. At the same time, you're reaching up to the crown of your head and feeling the yang qi of the heavens. Raise your left hand, point and reach with that, and just feel the effortless power that animates your arm right now. Your arm is relax the muscles, and so you're using the absolute minimum amount of muscular contraction to hold your body in this position. And just feel the circulation in your arm. Feel the chi, feel the tingling and pulsing that's going on there. And this is coming from just this energetic connection with the earth. And I guess also the energetic connection with the heavens. Got a two-pole system there. You're feeling both, and they're moving through you and allowing you to access energy that is way beyond the limits of your personal body. You're part of a much bigger system when you do this. You're resonating with the big chi. And reach down with your elbow, down with your wrist, and bring your hand down. Feel the chi in your hands. Feel the circulation there. Feel the blood in your forearms. Feel sense of fullness in your whole body. This is a very simple way of cultivating the energy by familiarizing ourselves with the insubstantial connections that allow it to flow freely and efficiently. What time is it? 33. Okay.
33.
All right. So let's move on to the second part. So this is what we're doing here. Left, right is our x-axis. So now we're going to do our y-axis, is front to back. And so with that, the trick with the way we line up, most people line up with their weight in their heels because that's just the way they've been doing it forever, and that feels natural to them. And with that, a lot of people lean backward because that feels safer because they can feel the muscles tensing up to create this support. And whenever you take that away, that tension away, and you line people up so they're feeling, that insubstantiality of the center line, it can be a little frightening for a lot of people. They feel like they're going to do a face plant whenever they get into an actual center. So because that we've taken away the muscular tension, which is so familiar. And the reason why we do this is habitually is because we tend to orient to our eyes. And our eyes so we're lining up so that our eyes feel like they're in the center. And but our eyes are not in the center of our body. They're actually kind of forward. Our actual center tends to be, several inches behind that. And so getting a sense of what is our plumb line? What is our plumb line to do it, to find the center, we first want to get a sense of the plumb line, our posterior plumb line. That is, way we want to feel what it feels like to be centered with our back to the wall. So we have that something there, solid, something substantial that we can play with. So I usually recommend doing it at the wall. I want to have it so I'm fairly close to you. I'm going to use a door here and to do this. This is the exercise I'm suggesting is to just place your heels against the wall, against the wall or the door, whatever. Here I'm doing it with the door, but push against the wall. Put your butt against there and your shoulder blades. And you want to have that contact there with those 3 points, your heels, your butt, and your shoulder blades. Reach up with the crown of your head. And it's good to hang on to something if you can. And you want to feel what that feels like. So to have a posterior plumb line, that is, what the back of our body. Since we're mostly familiar with the front of our body, whenever we start to bring awareness to the back of our body and say, oh, that's what it feels like to be vertical. Oh, okay. It's still not centered, but it gives you an idea of what it feels like to be vertical with your back. And breathe into that and just feel that, what that feels like. And there's a certain substantiality because you're in your heels, you're against a vertical surface. So you can feel that substantiality. So now we're no longer orienting to our eyes for our center. We're orienting to our back and that posterior line. And of course, that's not our center either. The center is several inches anterior to that. But this gives us a feeling of what that feels like. It's kind of a solid feeling to have that. And with that, it's kind of comforting to have that solidity there, that substantiality there. But we're just using that as our springboard. We're not going to hang on to that. We're now going to move so that move away from the wall, and we want to feel that posterior line. Try to get that same feeling there of lining up against the wall, and feel the substantiality of that. Okay, and just sort of hang out there for a moment. Just get a felt sense of that. Now we're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to feel as far forward as we can comfortably go. And it's good to hang on to something for this, but you're going there and to a point where you're feeling way out over the balls of your feet. You're feeling in your toes. Your heels are starting to come off.
Can you show that from this side?
Sure. So going from my posterior line, right, to now I'm going to really way forward, right, and I'm using my hanging on to something to allow me to go forward and really feel that. It's like I'm skiing down the mountain here. We're kind of leaning into it, and we're just getting that feeling. So we have these two different feelings, right? So now we want to go and find that insubstantial center line where we're not depending on anything physical to give us our sense of plumb. There's a feeling that comes where you're emptying out. It's Cheng Man-ching said it should feel precarious at first. You want to feel that, like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Why? Because I'm actually centered. And when I do that, it's like kind of like when you're first riding a bike, there's that sense of like, this shouldn't be working. This doesn't make any sense that I'm able to move like this. But here we are, we're feeling that center line. Okay. And just take a few breaths and just kind of hang out here and feel what that feels like to be in central equilibrium. So keeping that feeling, that center, and relax and sink into it. Now feel the 3 nails on your right foot, and keep that y-axis, that front to back feeling there, but go about 80% into your right leg, and keeping your center over the medial line of your foot, the big toe line, the 3 nails. Feel that center on that. So we're centering on 2 axes now, the X and the Y. And now feel the 3 nails on your left foot and sink into that, and go back to center and feel that. And the more you fine tune this, it should become more and more of a nothing. What the feeling of actually being centered. That's like we're, the point where the X and the Y axis meet in geometry. That's the 0 point, and that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for the 0 point in our body. We're looking for that point where the forces are all equal. Even if I now go into my left 3 nails, and I'm still feeling that insubstantial 0 point there, even though I'm centering now over my left foot primarily. I've got about 80% of my weight in my left foot. I'm feeling nice and centered there, relaxed into that. So you're getting this internal sense. And then just for fun, kind of go into the heel, go feel back into that posterior line and feel the solidity, the substantiality of that line. Whenever you're lining up with the posterior liner, notice that the amount of muscular tension that comes into your body in order to sustain that. And then go back to that 0 point and just feel how the back tension, leg, butt, all that stuff goes away. And you're kind of lightly hovering in that space. Now go to the outside of your left foot, moving off of the 3 nails and into the outside of your foot, and bring your center over that and feel what that feels like. Notice how much tension goes into your body whenever you try to center over the outside of your foot. It might not be something that people would even notice if they looked at you, but you can feel it. You can feel that different quality in your body. You can feel there's a sense, even though it's more substantial, you also can sense that it's more vulnerable to be that far off of center. You can feel, your body can feel the vulnerability. It produces a stress response in your body. So we're not going to hang there very long. We're going to go back. So you're centering along the three nails of your left foot and feeling that, and just feel, okay, this feels more supportive, even though it's more insubstantial. The feeling itself in your body feels more insubstantial. Your feet feel more substantial because that's your foundation. And this allows you to relax your upper body. This allows you to relax your hip joints and feel into that. And then go back to center and feel into that. Feel that. And you will likely start to feel very light, maybe even lightheaded. You get as you move into this, you get more into resonance with the insubstantiality. So you're accessing, the part of you that is not as substantial, as physical, as heavy, dense, fixed. Okay, so now sink into your left foot. Feel the three nails. Pivot on your right heel. Sink into your right three nails. Feeling your right heel, and set that up. So you're lining up your body so that you're feeling that center line there. You find that insubstantial place. Pick up your left heel and step forward with that. So now you're still in your right foot. You're still feeling that center line there. Feel the power of that. Reach out with your left hand and feel the soft power that's coming through your body, and just animating your movements. You don't have to, it doesn't require any muscular tension, but there's this effortless power there. Now feel your left heel, set your left knee, and sink into your left foot. So you're now substantial in your left foot, but feel it so that you're find the sweet spot there. You're looking for the place where it requires the least amount of effort to support you. You're freeing up your whole body by establishing this really strong foundation, creating this mindfulness in your feet. You just, you become aware of your feet all the time. You don't have to think about them, but there's an awareness there. There's a pre-conscious awareness that you are able to sense into anytime you like. So there's a knowing that occurs with your feet. So now sink into your right heel. Feel the three nails of your right foot, and sink your body into that. Find your center line there. And you're constantly, at least I am, constantly adjusting. So I'm constantly feeling back, forth, left, right, making minuscule adjustments to keep seeking that perfect sweet spot, which is most likely unattainable, but it is fun to look for it. And now step back with your left foot. Feel the three nails in your left foot. Your weight is still primarily in your right leg. You're still feeling that center line there. And feel your 3 nails in your left foot, sink into that, and then turn, pivot on your right heel, and you're back to center. I just pause, put the stick down, and just feel into that. Feel into the emptiness that comes from all that insubstantiality. You're still, and the paradox is when you do that, when you orient to that insubstantiality, your body becomes more substantial. It becomes more powerful, more rooted, more connected, more stable, more energized. So it's that insubstantial, substantial relationship, that mutually arising, that permits the internal arts to happen, to be as effective as they are. Feel into your hands and notice how your hands, your forearms, how dense and energized they are. Feel the blood flow, your fingers, your forearms. Feel it throughout your whole body. Now step in. Take a deep breath. Put the ball to your feet. Gather the chi. Now sink into your heels and throw it away. Empty out completely. Even the energy is too substantial now. Please have a seat. Sharon.
I had a different experience. I got very connected to the roof of my mouth, and it was sending me really clear messages of when I found that sweet spot.
Wow.
And I moved from just behind the teeth to going more to where the soft and hard palate meet at the roof of the mouth.
Wow.
And when I got the right spot, that's where I was feeling the real connection.
Nice. Wow. Cool. Cool. Anybody else?
It's always fun,
I
huh?
was not expecting that one.
Neither
You
nor
surprised
was I.
Cool.
So you're
Scott?
centered right into your pituitary gland.
Could be.
Well, definitely just time traveled, because when you were asking what time it was and you said it was 5:33, and then 2 minutes later it was 5:53. I can't, there's no 20 minutes. I just lost like 18 minutes somewhere. I don't know where it was. It was fun, so who cares? And I'm really glad you said something about the lightheaded, because man, was I lightheaded. I mean, there wasn't really much me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can, when you hit that right spot, man, it just everything connects up. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's
Ding, ding, ding.
like ringing them. Yeah, exactly.
We have
It's
a
like
winner.
ringing the bell. Yeah. Where's my Cupid doll?
Great. Terrific. Anybody else? Valerie.
Well, like last week, very, very very some. And I realized right before we started class, I realized that all through the week, I had been feeling the median line. I mean, I've been doing this for, following your advice and focusing on the median line for quite a number of years. But I realized this week how much more I was there. Not so much that I was there more, I was experiencing it more. I was more aware that I was there. I mean, it wasn't effort, it was just my attention was brought there more, recognizing it, which was very cool because it's just very cool. Know that you know something, but then to really, really experience it on yet another level. That's what I really, really appreciated. And when you said, okay, let's sit down now, and you're expecting us to talk, and I'm going, words are supposed to come. Okay, I'll get the words. So thank you, Sharon, for starting that. That was, and yeah, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth. All
Way to
very cool. Very cool.
Beautiful. Cool. Debbie, you had something. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. I thought I'd been working on this for a little while, because ever since last year, when Valerie pointed out to me that I was walking with my shoulders behind my hips, actually, standing back a little too far. I've been trying to do that a little more, but I was really surprised today, because I expected it to be more of a gradient of, better, worse, better. I wasn't expecting that as soon as you hit that sweet spot, it's boing, and you're there. Front, back, side to side. It's just, okay, this is it. So that was an eye opener for me, because I thought I had been working on it, but I guess I just hadn't been working on it the right way. So that was really helpful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Cool. Jonathan.
So I was reminded of what Maria was emphasizing in one of our classes about when you're saying sink, we're really not sinking. And you were emphasizing that point by keeping our legs, not exactly straight, but just bent a little bit. Because, boy, a real tension, there's like all kinds of noise happens between my knee and my hip. It's as if they're in a kind of a unity, but it's not a good unity. But if I just release, I get maybe the unity of a chi, a kind of more insubstantial unity comes through. But I'm saying? The whole body can just tense up in a way and connect, but that's not the connection I'm trying to work. I'm trying to break. I mean, it's only indirectly, I guess, that we get the chi to flow there, but I really found a big difference when I stopped working with that unity between my knee and my hip, and maybe the substantial unity of nerves, muscles, or whatever. I'm not like trying to release those. Just by releasing in the hip in the right way, it seems a whole nother unity comes up, and it's an insubstantial unity. I don't know if that makes any sense.
That was really profound, what you just said there. That was really, yeah, that was excellent.
Okay. All right.
I know exactly.
I don't know if I can
mean.
communicate it, but I felt that. So
You probably couldn't repeat it, but but yes, there's that. Yeah, that is where we're shifting from a substantial one into an insubstantial one. Then, and there is a sense of unity, and it's like that's why I said, one chi, one body, one chi. And that there's a Chinese term for it, zhong tijin, and that's it's that whole body energetic connection that comes, that I associate with energetic coherence and tensegrity, the two ways. Another way of talking about that. But exactly what you're talking about there? There's this. You're shifting your awareness, using your superconscious awareness to tune into this insubstantiality, which cannot exist in to just your rational mind. You have to go, and you have to move into that body mind spirit integration in order to feel it.
Right.
So that's beautiful. Thank you for that. That's great. Cool. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all so much. It's been a lot of fun. So
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. And
Okay,
thank you,
Maria.
Felicia.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks for coming.
Love you, Maria.
Thanks,
for
everyone, and thanks for the positive vibes through my process. I
Keep
appreciate it.
going,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we're
It was
so
very
happy
helpful.
you're on the mend.
On the mend.
On the mend. Love it.
Yay.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.